facts than we're given. And I leverage these facts every day in my own life and in my professional practice. Basically, that we're alive, that we make 300 billion new cells every single day, and that pretty much 3 times a year, every 4 months or so, we replace most of those cells in tissue. So definitely in no more than a year, but more than once a year, we have an opportunity to completely regrow ourselves.
Now that is fascinating.
And that being like proven hard science fact, what we're given is like kind of a sense of freedom. And that's the thing that I find the most upsetting from time to time is when I deal with people who have been given a diagnosis. And that diagnosis is a lot closer to a sentence. They're actually told that they're going to be in the state that they're in for the rest of their lives, which makes absolutely no sense at all if you take a look at the common sense, the fact that we're still alive. Mm-hmm. Bones that are crooked can be grown straight. I mean, if you've ever seen anybody training a tree, you know it's true. Like they put a little bit of a rope on it with a piece of rubber, and the tree, lo and behold, grows straight. I mean, I use a simpler analogy, and I just turn my houseplants a half turn every time I water them, and that whole lean towards the window where the sun's coming from stops. So by altering the environment that we're growing into, and by altering the materials that we're growing with, we have a lot of choice in how our body is and what kind of a state it's in, and really how changeable it is. Again, there's like more than one chance a year. And I've seen the unbelievable happen. I've seen crooked bones grow straight. I've seen scar tissue completely disappear.
Really?
I don't have any scar tissue on my body. I've got scars. I've got a couple of surgery scars, but they're basically invisible, and there's no adhesion or anything like that. And that's the other piece of that gift, I'd say, is the absolute conviction, because I'm the testing ground for all this work.
Yes, you're living the life of it.
Yeah, I've actually done this work on my body first and proven it to myself. And being the test piece leaves me in a position where I have absolutely no doubt.
Sure.
And that's a great place to come from with that kind of confidence.
And you have created one of the best. I mean, that board is full. And I mean, I have a huge whiteboard over there. That board is completely full of your concept, of your platform, of your education, of your personal story of what you went through. Explain and up there it says posture. So what about the posture?
Okay.
What's going on there?
Well, posture's a really simple one. It comes from people much smarter than me. I did a little bit of reading and research about this, and interestingly enough, bizarre facts moment here, Abraham Maslow had the opportunity to be tested, and it turns out that he has one of the highest tested IQs ever on record.
Really?
So I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants here. But when you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you get the basics of life right from the beginning. Air, water, and food are the first 3. I mean, he moves to shelter and some other things after that. But the fact of the matter is you can essentially live 2 minutes without air. I'd say about 2 days without water, and maybe a couple weeks without food. Now, there's some North Americans who can last maybe a bit longer, but I use those numbers because anything on the outside of them, you start to get uncomfortable. You know, there are people who can hold their breath for longer than 2 minutes, but most of us, by the time we're getting that 2-minute mark, it's not fun anymore. The game is starting to lose its pleasure, and it starts to quickly become a struggle. Now, in terms of air is actually a mechanical and a postural conversation. Like, besides the fact that we need oxygen to live, that we have to have respiration to get good and bad in and out of our body, because air is so important to our survival, to our health and well-being, our body grew around that. And so out of all the muscles we have in our body, we have 21 muscles that are dedicated to respiration or to breathing. And interestingly enough, 20 of those 21 muscles are posture muscles. So breath and life are obviously linked, but well-being is right there next to it. You have 12 vertebrae that are connected to 12 ribs, and they have muscles between them, and the lungs are housed within there. And so every time you actually take a high-quality breath, you're literally separating the vertebrae, decompressing the discs, and using the spine for one of the many things it was created for, but as a pump. And that inhale, exhale actually moves cerebral spinal fluid up and down, nourishing your brain and exchanging hormones and all sorts of other information, chemistry, just from the factor of breathing alone. Right? We haven't even got to healthy movement yet. Just breathing alone starts to create all sorts of possibilities for health and well-being. Wow.
That's crazy. I mean, to think that you could talk about this for like hours and stuff that we don't even realize we're doing this unconsciously, right?